Chris Roebuck is former head of global talent at UBS. He's also held senior human resources roles at KPMG and HSBC. These days, he's visiting professor of transformational leadership at London's Cass Business School. He joins me now. That's a good title, isn't it? Transformational leadership. That could mean so many things.
That's what organisations and chief executives should be doing. They should be transforming their organisations with better performance. And that's what happens. If they do that, they should get paid. If they don't, they shouldn't.
So you don't think there's a problem with executive pay?
I do think there's a problem with executive pay. If you look at the figures you've quoted, if you look at the fact that over the last 10 years, the differential between FTSE 100 chief executive pay and the average pay of everyone else has grown by double, are we really saying that in that last 10 years, every single FTSE has improved its performance by double? It's twice as competitive, twice as much in terms of shareholder return? The answer is patently no. So obviously the link between organisational performance and what chief executives get is not directly related. There's something else going on.
Which is?
Which is the fact that a very strong chief executive who suddenly sees somebody in the same industry down the road getting more than them is naturally going to go to the remuneration committee and say, this isn't right, I'm not being paid sector average, and therefore you need to pay me more. And to be blunt...
Well, that's fair enough, isn't it?
Well, not if they're not performing. Let's be honest, you know, if the market's going up by X%, or the peer performance of their peer organisations is going up by Y%, and that chief executive isn't matching that benchmark, to be blunt, they shouldn't be getting a bonus. But the problem is that many remuneration committees and many NEDs, in the face of a chief executive who wants more cash, are tending to roll over.
Right. I mean, I guess, you know, some would argue that it's fair enough. You know, it's a bit of a, in terms of attracting the best talent there is, it's in the company's interest for the company to be profitable. It's in the shareholder interest as well. Is there not something to be said for that too?
Absolutely. If you want to attract the people that deliver the financial bottom line, that deliver the dividends to shareholders, you're going to have to pay. But you shouldn't be paying for mediocre people who don't deliver the goods. And that's what's happening in some of these cases. Chief executive performance should be down to whether you beat the competition and whether you beat the market.
So, I mean, is it more obvious in some industries and others? Where do you think it's concentrated, this sort of disconnect or discrepancy between company performance and pay? How would you compare?
You can look at what's going on in a number of places. You know, for example, public sector, maximum chief executive pay in the public sector is roughly 20 to average. Yeah. FTSE, we've just said, it's about 120 to average. Financial services, it's 170 to average. If you look at what's happening in Europe, most chief executives in Europe are hovering around 30. Japan, it's around 15 to average. But interestingly, the US, Standard & Poor's, top 500, that's running at high 200s to average. And that's why, for example, the Dodd-Frank Act is coming in the States in July, where there will be compulsory disclosure of the relationship between the chief executive's pay and the average person. Now, that's not necessarily a good measure, because obviously in industries like hospitality, there are a lot of low-paid workers, and maybe in pharma, you've got a lot of high-paid workers, so that skews the figures. Really, the key judge of chief executive performance is our chief executive performing better than the other chief executives in the sector, and has he beaten the market?
That's the criteria. OK, well, thank you very much for coming in. Good to get your thoughts. Chris Roebuck, Cass Business School here in London.